Well, the media have been telling us about all kinds of Russia conspiracies for over 2 years now. It's a pretty simple model. You take a person or a group who you don't like, who are saying things you disagree with, and then you build a narrative that ties them to Russia. The latest example comes, as previous examples have come, from NBC News. NBC News is smearing anti-war Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard as a Kremlin favorite. NBC based the story on so-called experts, a group recently caught fabricating Russia stories at the behest of the Democratic Party. The Intercept's Glenn Greenwald was the very first to point this out, and he joins us tonight. Glenn, summarize for us, if you would, what looks like a hit by NBC News on Tulsi Gabbard.
Right. So they claimed in a screaming headline that predictably went viral that she was the Kremlin's favorite candidate. One of the reporters who wrote the story tweeted that the Kremlin has a crush on Tulsi Gabbard, something that, if it were about a Democratic favorite, would be denounced not just as adolescent, but also sexist.
Yes.
And of course, this is all part of the broader context where the Democratic Party has this maniacal obsession with Russia. If you try and debate anything with them about the war in Syria or the ongoing viability of NATO or troops in Afghanistan, they just start babbling about the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin and accusing you of being a Russian agent. It's like some kind of like neural malfunction or a mania at this point. And what's amazing is doing this to Tulsi Gabbard. She was a Democratic star just 4 years ago when she was first elected. MSNBC said the first Asian woman elected to the Senate, to the House in U.S. history. She's an Iraq war veteran on the fast track to fame. They made her a vice chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, and now suddenly they're smearing her as an asset of the Kremlin using extremely dubious journalistic tactics for which NBC has become notorious on behalf of both the CIA and the DNC.
But what's so interesting is all of these smears comport precisely with neocon orthodoxy, and it seems like Tulsi Gabbard's sin was violating neocon orthodoxy, or am I reading too much into this?
In 2014, and you can go Google this, there's an article in the New York Times, an op-ed by someone who has tracked neocons for a long time, saying that it was clear that there was rising isolationism and anti-war sentiment in the Republican Party, and neocons were therefore migrating back to the Democrats, especially in excitement over the prospect that Hillary Clinton would be the nominee for president in 2016, and that she essentially has a neocon foreign policy. She supported the war in Iraq. She supported regime change in Libya. She was highly critical of Obama for not doing more in Libya, for not arming anti-Russian factions in Ukraine. They love Hillary Clinton, and they were migrating back to the Democratic Party. So Democrats have become reunited with neocons. So anyone who deviates from the neocon agenda, whether on the left or on the right, instantly gets accused of being an asset or a stooge of the Kremlin. And that's what they did. And NBC, in this case, relied on a firm that just got caught 6 weeks ago fabricating Russia data. They got kicked off Facebook for doing it. And that was NBC's leading, quote, expert for claiming that chatter shows that the Kremlin is now favoring Tulsi Gabbard.
It's unbelievable. I know it's happened to you. It's happened to me. It's a pretty obvious tactic. Glenn Greenwald, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.